This is Harrison Burton. He's my favorite driver in the NASCAR Cup Series. There's one small problem though. He isn't exactly good. It's already reported that he won't be returning for 2025. But how is it even possible for him to be this bad? And why on earth do I continue to root for him? I want to give some measuring sticks on just how bad Harrison has been since entering the Cup Series. His stats have been on a persistent downward trend since the end of his rookie season. As I alluded to before, he's currently 33rd in points ahead of only Zane Smith. This season has been extremely pathetic. He has 2 top 20s, both of which came at crash-filled drafting races. His best finish at a non-speedway was 22nd at Darlington. Of the traditional oval races this season, he has only 4 lead lap finishes, 2 of which were finishes in the 30s anyway. Every week he consistently maintains some of the lowest betting odds, typically with chances to win being around 700 to 1. The rough thing about all of these stats is that Harrison is in his 3rd year, but all of these numbers have only gone down year over year since he got into the top level. In his first season, Harrison finished a suboptimal but respectable 27th in points, and towards the end of the season, he started to show glimpses of improvement when he qualified 8th at Las Vegas, 10th at Martinsville, and 6th at Phoenix. It really looked like he was about to have a breakout year 2 and turn into a true playoff contender in 2023. But by the time next season came around, all of this momentum was completely gone, and Harrison was back to qualifying and finishing outside of the top 20 most weeks. One of his lowest points was the Spring Phoenix race. He was lapped on pace roughly 5 times before spinning out by himself, at a track that he had run top 10 at just 4 months prior. Harrison's 2024 is like if this horrible Spring Phoenix race was every week, consistently being put several laps down by the end of the race, and often on the last page of the ticker. But before we dive into Harrison's story further, let's actually answer the title of this video. If he's so bad, why do I root for him? Well, like I'm sure many of you, it all started back on NASCAR's console games. My friend and I used to love NASCAR the Game 2011. It really had amazing physics and was well made. We would play split screen and established the Jeff and Jeff connection. My friend would play as Jeff Gordon, and I would play as Jeff Burton because I thought the black and yellow cat paint scheme looked cool. Of course, the Jeff and Jeff connection would typically entail one Jeff driving the race seriously at Daytona and the other Jeff driving backwards trying to take out the field. But when it was time to move on to becoming actual NASCAR fans, you can guess where my friend and I went. He became a Jeff Gordon fan, and I became a Jeff Burton fan. Except, not really. By the time I started watching, Jeff Burton was retired, so I had to root for this Ryan Newman guy who was driving his car. The 6 years that I watched Newman were filled with mostly pain, but over this time frame, I really learned to appreciate rooting for a driver that had to fight on the bubble of the playoffs all season long. You see, the problem with modern NASCAR is that rooting for a top driver in the regular season is boring. Once your driver wins a race, there's almost no difference if he finishes a given week in 2nd or 40th, aside from possibly a few playoff points from the regular season championship standings. But when you root for a driver like Ryan Newman, every week is a battle. Every position is critical to moving forward and staying above that playoff cut line. So when Harrison Burton came up to the Cup Series, I was prepared to root for him regardless of if he became a winner, like I expected, or if he was a consistently outside the playoffs driver. In no world did I imagine he would be as bad as he is right now, currently one of the worst drivers in the field, despite having a car and team around him that should at least be midfield. But I remain a fan of his because I refuse to jump on any bandwagons, and I really want whoever my next favorite driver is to be someone that I was a true fan of from rookie season or even Trucks and Xfinity career to retirement. While the output on the track has clearly been poor, I do believe Harrison is still a talented driver and could very well have a second win to his career in the Xfinity series, like Daniel Hemrick did, or even resurgence in the Cup Series in a later stint. Let's remember that it was only a few short years ago that Harrison scored 4 wins in the Xfinity Series in a single season, and 25 top 5s over a 2-season span. I do believe he was rushed to Cup, however, as the Wood brothers' seat unexpectedly opened when Brad Keselowski left to join Roush Fenway Racing, which moved Austin Cindric from his planned spot in the 21 to the 2 car. But apart from just being rushed, I really think we are starting to overrate the quality of the 21 team. It's easy to remember Matt DiBenedetto making the playoffs and competing for wins in the 2 years prior to Harrison's arrival, but I do believe the team has steadily declined in speed since the end of 2021. While the average start, average finish, and points have all gone down each year, his rookie 27th place in points, although disappointing, was not catastrophic. Rookie struggles can be expected in modern NASCAR. Just look at how long it took William Byron and Chase Elliott to reach their stride in the Cup Series. It's simply hard to believe that Harrison has just gotten slower each year, and it's also hard to believe that if a driver like Chase Briscoe comes into the car, the whole team will revert to being the playoff contenders that they were before Harrison arrived. Especially when Team Penske, the alliance team of the Wood brothers, have struggled as a whole for that raw speed that lasts all season, like they used to have in years past. Now, that all being said, Harrison is clearly not without his major faults. He's been very prone to mistakes. Since the start of his rookie season, I've noticed he has an issue with avoiding wrecks. There was an especially egregious one in his second race as a rookie in 2022 at Fontana, where he arca-braked straight into a crash that had been going on for a while. Even I have better wreck avoidance than Harrison. He's clearly improved in this area though, as he's only got one DNF this season, and it was an unavoidable crash at Daytona. He did kinda have an arca-brake moment at Sonoma though. Regardless, he still has other problems, and typically even when he has speed, something goes wrong. At Talladega in the fall of 2023, he took the lead, and within a few laps a heavy push got him sideways, he failed to control the car, and he was never able to recover from the incident. Another case was Bristol this year, where he qualified 13th and looked fast in practice, but come the race, tire management was key, and he completely failed to tackle it. Instead of learning how to manage his stuff by the end of the race and keeping his tires intact, he was one of only a few drivers who tore up his tires completely and had to pit early. Because of this, he ended up finishing 5 laps down in 31st when he could have easily scored a top 15 or even top 10. With how slow Harrison has been, he really needs to capitalize on these rare moments where he has a great opportunity, but he's just failed to do so. There was also the 2023 Daytona 500, where he led with less than 15 laps to go, but got shuffled way back into the pack on a restart and got caught up in a wreck. Perhaps the most difficult thing about being a NASCAR fan is transitioning from one favorite driver to another. I was lucky to have Harrison come in the year after Ryan Newman's retirement, but with Burton being dropped at the end of the season, I'll face that difficult period of fan limbo once again. Regardless of what happens next, I'll continue to root for good, entertaining races, and won't mind a nice underdog story. As for Harrison, I'm sad we probably will never get the chance to hear his dad call him winning a cup race from the NBC booth. But who knows, maybe he can come back stronger. Thanks for watching, everyone.